Going to go ahead, check back in with our chief meteorologist, Dan Cianca, over in the Weather Authority Center. And Dan, blue skies, and it sounds like we might see some more of that this week.
Yeah, the blue skies were nice today. It wasn't so nice yesterday. Take a look at this. I was expecting a lot more sunshine yesterday, and this is what we were calling for all week last week, but man, was it gloomy Saturday. This was from East Garrison, which is near Marina, if you're not familiar, kind of east of Marina. And this was just the full-on clouds. It was cold, the wind was blowing. It's not a fun day. Today, so much nicer. This was our sunset from Salinas tonight, where we saw good sunshine. A few low clouds trying to redevelop this evening, but otherwise it was a pretty nice day. Even with the sun, temperatures weren't hot by any means. Fort Hunter Liggett, our hot spot today at 83 degrees. Hollister, an unseasonably cool 72. Santa Cruz, a couple degrees below normal at 68. We are below normal in Salinas and Watsonville at 64. And Monterey just about a degree below normal at 63 today, so not too bad. Our bigger picture showed a few high clouds passing through, but ultimately not much going on here locally across the state. We have an upper level low to the southwest, and then a strong ridge off to the northwest, and then a trough kind of digging through right here. This is the general area. I'll show you another way to visualize that. We can see this blue color here. This is the trough digging in across the west coast. It is pulling that area of low pressure up into it, and basically because of its positioning and the ridge off to the west, we're getting into this more northwesterly flow right now. So that's the way we're going to stay for much of the week. The trough is going to kind of sit here over the west coast, or maybe a little bit more in the interior west, but because of its positioning, it will continue to keep us in this northwesterly flow. The good news is that means less cloud cover for this week. Now, we will still have a marine layer day by day, so which means we're going to have low clouds at night, but during the days, we should get at least a partial, if not full, clear out for most areas. We're going to warm up through Tuesday and then start to cool off a little bit. And the reason we cool off is because the trough starts to dig in back in from the north. It strengthens, kind of pushes back to the west a little bit toward the end of the week. That might increase the amount of clouds for a day or two toward the end of the week. And inland areas are going to cool down this weekend as the trough kind of digs down here on the west coast. So we're not looking at unseasonably hot conditions, but what I am promising you is more sunshine this week than what we got last week. And that's not a big, ask, considering that it was pretty cloudy last week. So let's talk about the near-term forecast. We'll get into our future track tonight. And it's pretty aggressive with the low clouds already, so we probably won't see the coverage that it's showing. I know we backed off this a little bit earlier today. In fact, it's actually kind of showing quite a bit of drizzle on the south and east sides of the bay. We need to moisten up quite a bit more, I think, before that happens. Now, with that said, if you live up in the foothills of the Santa Lucias, maybe up in the Santa Lucia Preserve, maybe Carmel Valley, you might get a couple spritzes overnight, but air is a lot drier than it was last night, so I'm not expecting a big issue with the drizzle. With that said, starting off at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, expecting at least partly cloudy skies around the bay, if not mostly cloudy. I think we'll start off mostly cloudy around the bay, partly cloudy for the inland valleys, and then head into the afternoon. We'll start to see clearing again, that northwesterly winds continuing, bringing that drier air in, and we should get a pretty good clear out once again tomorrow afternoon. Can't rule out a few low clouds on the south side of the bay, but I think like 90% sunshine across the bay is a pretty good guarantee for the afternoon max, right? And then we'll see those clouds thicken back up tomorrow night, kind of like what we saw tonight. Temperature-wise, this is what I'm expecting tomorrow. We'll be in the 70s in the Santa Cruz Mountain Valleys and up in the hills, maybe upper 60s there in Bonnie Doon. And around the coast, we're going to be close to 70 tomorrow. Santa Cruz on average across the city's footprint. Now, I forecast, when I do a forecast, I have a verification that I use to look back, say, okay, you can say this temperature every day, but how do you know that's right? Whatever. There isn't a climate site in Santa Cruz anymore. So I average out like 20 to 30 different weather stations across Santa Cruz every day just to kind of compare where we are, just to make sure our forecasts are looking good. So that includes anyone from basically all the way up in the trees here down to the beach, and all the way from West Cliff basically to the harbor. So that's the area that I'm looking at. So if you live on the north side of town, you're probably going to be a little bit warmer. If you live on the coast, you might be a touch cooler. The average is going to be around 69 tomorrow. East shore of the bay, low 60s Castroville, mid 60s on the northeast corner of the bay, upper 60s Salinas, San Juan, 70s to Hollister, almost into the 80s in the Santa Clara Valley. Monterey Peninsula, of course, more prone to the winds, low to mid 60s tomorrow, seasonable. I think you should be 64 this time of year in Monterey, so that's 65 will be maybe not too bad. And then down south, get away from the coast a little bit, you're back in the 70s pretty quickly. And in fact, we may get close to 80 again. Tomorrow's temperature is pretty close to today's, not necessarily a warm up. We will warm up on Tuesday though. We're going to jump up a few more degrees on the coast. It'll be even sunnier, and then the rest of the week partly cloudy, some occasional wind, seasonable high temperatures. Our normal high on the coast on average this time of year should be around 65, and we'll be pretty close to that all the way into the weekend probably. So nothing major showing up. A holiday weekend, of course. As we look at our inland forecast, temperatures peaking on Tuesday, about 6 degrees above normal, and then we're below normal as we head into the weekend, but not necessarily like unsettled or anything. Just it's a product of the fact that we have that trough bringing some cooler air aloft, Maxwell.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dan.